Hey, welcome to another episode of the Solid Podcast. We are on episode number 4. I was gone last time. These guys ran it without me, so I appreciate them doing that. We're excited to be here with you today. We've got a special guest. We've had some great guests, and this is another great guest. His name is Trevor Cowley. We've known Trevor for quite a while, and what a good man Trevor is. One of the greatest things about Trevor, in my opinion, is first of all, the kind of human being he is, the kind of family he has. Incredible wife, kids, lives just a fantastic life when it comes to his personal endeavors. He's also very successful in business. He is a saver, an investor. He's conservative, and he's actually going for a big goal right now to be the world record setter in the most half marathons consecutively every day. For however long it's going to be. We don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll do it for 2 years, and then we'll assess. We'll assess the world record at that point.
Yeah.
Well, two years is 730 days
in a
so
row.
it should
It's kind
be
of a
good by
moving
then.
target.
Yeah.
You might have to stop posting about it until you do it, and then maybe
I mean, it might just keep getting put. This might be a lifelong journey.
Yeah, we probably don't want to tell anybody, really.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
geez
for real.
Louise. I thought, so today was day 335, and originally I was just going to do it for a year. So I would be 30 days away from completing my original goal. But, you know, the funny thing about goals is when you set goals, there's always unforeseen obstacles and circumstances that are outside of your control that will come into your environment. And that's just part of the process of setting a goal that's bigger than whatever your current situation is, right? Like in people set goals, and then when the things that are uncontrollable happen, then all of a sudden these outside things start controlling the individual and the outcome that they wanted, rather than them staying just committed to the process. So I had to ask myself some honest questions a couple months into the process when it went from 235 days. That's why I was going to do it for a year. And then it jumped to 555 days. And I was at an extremely, extremely low point already because I was a few months into the process. My body was breaking. You know, my mind was weak. And then here I am going to the Guinness Book of World Records portal, because they communicate through a portal online, so that all of the communication is stored. So they don't want the representatives to communicate outside and say, oh, well, they said, no, it's like a CRM where the notes are stored in that portal.
And
of every
you say it
form
went to
of
550 from 230?
555. And so it caught me at a low spot.
That's because
and
some
it
dude out there is
just
just running, not saying anything,
You
and all of a
know.
sudden he goes, surprise!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there staring at the screen, seeing 555. I'm like, that's a cool number, but
Yeah. Well,
You
you
know.
need to back up a little bit, because prior to this, you were doing 10 miles a day every day.
Yeah.
How long did you do that for?
Well, before that, it was 2 days, right?
yeah.
Let's go back to that. Like, what made you?
Okay.
Because I think the beginning
Actually,
of
we
the
should
story
just go
tells
all
a lot.
the way back, because you weren't always this way.
No.
Oh, man,
No.
we can't
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
You should
I
tell
mean,
your
how
story.
far
Well,
back?
I think
First time I met him, my whole
He
shit
was
jacked up.
much different than this.
Yeah. You know, I was probably on pills or heroin or, you know, whatever it may be. And then when I got clean, you know, it just from one addiction to the other, I just exchanged it for alcohol. But at the time that I was an addict, it was from the time I was like 19 to 24. And I felt like everybody that was in my age group were all going off to college and partying and enjoying some of their younger years. And I missed that. So when I got clean about a week before I turned 24, I felt like I was making up for lost time. You know, and I didn't really look at alcohol as that bad of a thing, because you could go to the store and buy it, right? And so it was like I was celebrating a win, but I was still losing. You know what I mean? Like, I've got 4 DUIs on my record to prove it. I loved to party, and it was like 1 or 2 in the morning and the party's over. It's like I'm texting anybody I know, like, what's up? Like, where's the next party at? I was always trying to just keep going and go. And that's where the DUIs came in, because it was late at night and I'm trying to find the next party with a 30 rack in the back, and I'm faced, you know. And so that wasn't the best time in my life, obviously, but at least it wasn't affecting other people, right? Like I was just myself. I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. And I was literally working at the building across from here when my now wife called me and said that she says, I'm pregnant. And the words out of my mouth were like, oh. And she's like, well, thanks for making me feel better. And the only person I was thinking about is myself. I'm like, now I'm going to have to retire the fun party Trev that everybody likes. And
Oh, this sounds like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, but it was at that moment also that like there was just a moment of clarity that all my decisions now affect other people. You know what I mean? And I don't care about screwing up my life or going to jail. Like there was a point where you're hanging out with rugrats and, just bad people and you're watching them go in and out of jail and you almost just assume that that's just your lifestyle. And it's kind of like,
next.
Yeah, but it's almost like an accolade in that group. Like, oh, man, yeah, I went in. Da, da, da. It's like everyone's talking about it like it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
It's like that's how you know you're hanging around with
Who bailed you
losers.
out?
Well,
Yeah,
if you're hanging
exactly.
around with the right people, the opposite is true as well.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
The
exactly.
environment is everything.
It's just you become that environment, right? And that's just what it was. But when that happened, that's when it was like, okay, I need to put all of that behind me and I need to get focused because I grew up extremely poor and I made a commitment even as a young kid. I remember looking at my environment and said, this is not okay. I will not live like this when I'm older. And so it was like, okay, I remembered this little promise that I made when I was younger, and now I'm bringing a human into the world, and this is the environment that I've created for that person, and it's just that wasn't okay with me. Right. And so that's when I really shifted my life and turned it around. I got extremely focused in sales. When you're an idiot and you don't graduate high school on time and you don't have degrees and this, that, the other, sales is your way out. It is what it is.
I don't know, dude. I would say whether or not you're an idiot, even how many people went to school, got a degree, got
and
a
end
job.
up in sales anyways.
Yeah, because it is the place where probably if you're not playing ball or you're not a professional athlete, you got to end up in sales.
That's true. But for me, it was just like it was lack of options. I remember when I first got clean, I tried to go join the military because it was just like, okay, I have uncles. My grandpa was a Marine. I've got cousins that are Marines, and I'm like, okay, this might be my way away.
Yeah.
To get out or
you were
whatever.
likely seeking a little structure in your life.
That's
too,
really what it was. It was almost like this will give me the discipline, the consistency, and get me out of the environment in order to give me the highest probability of success. And sometimes if you can't create the environment that's conducive to the outcome that you want, somebody else might have created that environment, and it's up to you, and it's your responsibility to put yourself in that environment and go plug into it and then let the environment do its thing.
But you never left.
No. So what ended up happening with that meeting is they said, do you have any back taxes or court fines? And I said, yeah. And they said, which one? I said, both.
As a matter of fact.
And they said, we can't enlist or enroll anybody if you have back taxes or court fines. So you have to take care of those first. And I said, even if I sign something saying you guys can garnish my wages or whatever in terms of like being able to pay that back or we work something out. And he said, no.
Well, I think this is an important thing because you said something and going into this. You said it was my only option. And I think a lot of times people going in or when they want to change their life, they still have a plan B. So do you think as you didn't make it into the military, sales became your only option because you knew, like, I have no other way out. I got to make this work otherwise.
Yeah, that's really what it was. That's really what – I didn't think I was a salesperson, bro. Like growing up, the way that I grew up, I would drive by construction sites, and those were the manly men. They were burly. They were, they drove the big trucks or whatever. And I loved being outside. I rode bikes and, skateboarded and did all that. So I just assumed, I'm like, I'm not the smartest guy in the whole world. There's no way I'm going to have an office job. I'm just going to do construction. That's probably what it's going to be. So right out of high school, I did landscaping, and I went over to one of my buddy's house. We were having some beers and shooting pool or whatever, and he was in sales. And he's like, bro, you should come try this sales thing. I'm like, nah, bro, that ain't me.
Sales is not for me.
That's not for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to be outside. Like that's my scene or whatever. And he's like, bro, you should really come try it. And I said, how much money you make? And he's like, $1,500, $2,000 a week. And I was like, I make $400 a week, bro. carrying
in 110-degree weather,
trenches,
and they're working 8-10 hours a day.
Yeah, like I was getting up at 4 a.m. and we were driving to Beaver to do a landscape job an hour and a half away at a hotel that they were building and stuff. And it was like, man, like he just said, like to me, he's like, bro, you are your worst case scenario right now, meaning that if you go try this sales thing and it doesn't work out, some landscape company's always going to hire somebody to dig a hole or carry sod or whatever. You're a grunt worker at this point. You don't even have the skills to even demand a higher wage.
He was overcoming an objection. You didn't even know. Like, what's the worst that could have happened? You could end up right where you're at.
He's a great recruiter.
He did a great job. And so when he told me the money and all that, and I was like, you know what? He's right. I walked in and some people had nice cars out in the parking lot and stuff. And I was like, okay. This might be my way out. This might be the thing that gives me the opportunity to actually create some sort of financial security. So I literally just went all in. Like I was.
What does that mean when you say that?
Like, dude, there was no exit strategy. I saw that other people were making money, and I put a target on their back. And I said, I'm going to watch those guys, and I'm going to listen to everything that those guys do, and I'm going to do what they do. I'm going to work like they work. If they can do it, then I can do it. It's the same thing with the world record. If another human being has the ability to do it, then I have the ability to do it. And in this case, no other human beings have done it, but my belief in myself has got so great with all of these little micro commitments like the 2-a-days and the 10-mile. Like these micro commitments just help you believe in yourself a little bit more, so the next commitment you make is just a little bit bigger, and you carry that belief with you. And then next thing you know, 4 or 5 years later, you're breaking a world record because it's these little micro commitments on a smaller level that you honored that was an investment into your own belief system about how you think about yourself, which is really important.
So, hey, did that strategy work? Finding the guys that were actually doing it, copying what they did, and actually doing the work, it actually worked?
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really not that difficult. We try to overcomplicate things more so than just play dumb and be a blank page and find the people that are making the most money and just copy their paper. It's almost like in high school. You're not going to copy my paper. You already know I'm failing. You're going to find the smart person and you're going to copy their answers. The numbers on the board told me who had the answers. And so I'm going to be friends with that guy, and I'm going to learn their tonality. They were super aggressive on the phone, so I would be super aggressive on the phone, when I was doing it. And so I'm not smart, so I just need to copy and paste what somebody else has already proven.
There's so much genius in that. We were just talking to our group today, some of our leaders, about that exact thing. It's funny. As soon as someone starts having a little bit of success, they start overthinking.
Yeah.
And becoming these smart people, right?
Well, they think that they're smart because the paychecks said, "Hey, you're smart. Look at you." And then all of a sudden, they stop doing all the that actually got them the big paychecks.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, and I think there's a difference between being smart and intelligent, right? Because intelligent, someone that has a lot of knowledge doesn't mean they're smart enough to actually go apply
there's no doubt about it, bro.
And really the most successful people, they just keep it simple.
Yeah.
And it's just natural to them.
Yeah.
It never even dawns on them that they need to change anything. They were taught something, and it worked, and I'm just going to repeat this.
Well, Michael Jordan even started every practice with all the fundamentals, chest passes. It was like 1,000 chest passes. And it's like, why is Michael Jordan practicing a chest pass? He's doing all the basics better than everybody else. That's it. It's the fundamentals. It's the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. That's it. If you can just do the basics extremely well. So if you're a salesperson, if you could knock more doors than the other person, the opportunity increases for you to make more money than if you dial more than everybody. It's a volume game. It's how many reps are you getting on a day-to-day basis. It's just like the opportunities are endless and limitless, and you're the only limitation that you have in terms of the way that you think, the way that you approach it, your perspective about life. It's you that's jacked up. It's not life, because other people are out here living it at an extremely high level, and that's all the proof that I need. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that's possible, and if it's possible for them, it's possible for me. I just need to know a little bit more about how they did it or whatever. I can copy and paste just like the best of them.
Well, I think the important thing about these fundamentals is a lot of times, you go from the amateurs to the pros, if we're going to use that analogy, the game doesn't change, it just speeds up. And so rather than being reactive, which amateurs are always reactive, you become so good at a fundamental, you become reflexive, so you can do it without thinking about it.
Yeah,
so
it's
the
just
same
all
thing on the
built in
doors.
Subconsciously.
Yeah.
Right? Like when I wake up in the morning, half the time I'm a zombie or whatever. And like some mornings I catch myself just going, like my body is in autopilot, just doing what it needs to do based upon the fact that I've done it so many times previous that I don't have to think about getting out of bed. My brain doesn't turn on me like it used to turn on me. It knows I'm getting out of bed, so it doesn't complain or give me the excuses because it knows that I'm a hard sell. I'm not a buyer. I'm not going to buy what you're selling because I'm committed. And like when you go like all in and commit, the excuses, they're not as sexy. Like the commitment is so high that no obstacle, no problem, no obstacle will get in your way. Like true commitment knows no obstacle that they can't overcome. And I have the data and the proof of that. Like, is it painful? Will it be hard? Will it be something that you won't want to endure? Without a doubt. But that's the path that you have to go through for greater. Like it's just
rewire your brain for it. They talk about it in the Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
Once it becomes a habit, you've rewired your brain, and you're just an autopilot.
Yeah.
There's nothing really that's going to stand between you and doing your habits because they're built in.
But also how like the perspective on pain. Like ever since we were little, we were taught like, yo, don't touch that. You're going to hurt yourself. Pain is bad. Like everything about pain is considered bad growing up. And it's like I've had to rewire my mind that like when my body is toast and in extreme pain, I get a high off of overcoming myself and doing it anyways. I get a high off of how hard it is. If it's going to rain, I look at the weather and I smile about it. If it's going to snow,
I was going to say that's
it's like
one of the,
that's how I'm going to get more yardage that day. That's a day that means more than every other day because it's going to be way harder than the other days. So therefore, I'm going to get even better on that one day. That's going to be circled on my calendar, and I can't wait to go run in the wind or the rain
that's some
or the
memorable
snow.
stuff too.
That dude, the shittiest, most terrible days. If I look back on all of it, it's like. That's an unforgettable day.
You don't remember the easy days.
Yeah, I don't remember those days. I remember the most brutal days, and they go from brutal and extremely painful to some of the most fondest memories that I have. And they turn fond when you actually overcome and do it, and then you reflect back because you're like, man, that was hard. I overcame it, and then that deposit is like $1 million check than the day that you feel like going out and doing it. That's like $100 check. It still adds equity to the bank account. Your bank account's still increasing, but then there's just days where those checks are just a little bit bigger. And so nowadays it's like the harder it is, the better it is for me. And having that perspective and that mindset on the days that you don't want to do it, it makes it so much easier to do. And if you have to do the doing anyways, why would you make the doing harder by complaining about it, bitching about it, or whatever? Because all you're doing is throwing a terrible person. It never helps. You're making the doing that you have to do anyways worse because you have a bad perspective about the doing. Like, why can't we just shift our perspective and be like, yeah, I think I talked to you about this. It's like, dude, I watch some people in Summit when I'm running the track that are like barely learning how to walk again with personal trainers. And like, here I am in pain, like wanting to bitch and complain about it. And I'm like, I have the ability and the opportunity to do what I'm doing, and they don't even have that opportunity.
Yeah, the mistake people make is they think that there's a way to avoid pain in life, and there is no way to avoid pain in life. Pain is a part of life. The question is, what kind of pain are we going to choose to put ourselves through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can either choose to put ourselves through the pains that are going to make us better, so that when
purposeful
pain,
yep.
voluntary pain,
yep.
So when the involuntary pain comes, we can handle it better, right? If we don't do the voluntary pain, then guess what we get to have later? The involuntary pain, which is really voluntary pain because we didn't do the voluntary pain when we showed up with discipline.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's a couple things. I hope we can get to it all this in the podcast because I think there's two things that I would like our listeners to really hear from you. One is you started an accounting business of all things. You just said you didn't do well in school. Mm-hmm. And you started this accounting business, which I think people go, how the heck would I start any business, let alone an accounting business if I'm not? And then we got to get into this physical freak stuff you do, which is amazing too. So I don't know if we can cover all this, but I would like you to kind of talk to us about how all that started to evolve, because I think it all kind of happened together a little bit. I mean,
yeah, it did.
One thing led to the other.
Everything leads to another. Everything. There's no net neutral. It either leads to a better destination or a worse. And if we actually looked at all of our decisions like that, I think that some of our choices would change. But some people just don't believe these little minor decisions that they make on a day-to-day basis. It's so minor that they don't think it really makes an impact, but that compound effect is real. And you might not see an impact because you smashed a pizza every night for a week, but that compound effect will happen within a few years if that's the path that you're on, right? Like, so the accounting business, I am really good with numbers because I love money, and sales got me really good with numbers. I wasn't good with numbers at one point, but then when the numbers are talking about money, all of a sudden, so there's this chemical in your brain called acetylcholine, okay? And acetylcholine is only present when you have interest in something. So like when you're a student and you're studying, it's like you're trying to study to pass a test, but you're not really absorbing the information. You're reading it and you can't retain it, and it's very difficult. That's because you don't have genuine interest in the topic. So acetylcholine's not available. That's like a receptor that transfers the information, right? And so what they say to do is if you don't like the topic that you're studying, but it's important for the outcome that you want, then you need to think about the outcome. Like, man, when I graduate and I'm going to be an attorney, I'm going to make $500,000 a year. That's what I'm excited about. Get that chemical kicking into your brain. So you're not just studying for a test. You're studying to make $500,000 a year because that's what interests you. That's why you're doing it. And then that chemical becomes available to you,
and
right?
You retain information differently when you care.
Exactly. That's because that chemical is there because it excites you and you care, and you could absorb information when it's really like, what? Oh, I want to know more, and then there's certain stories or certain things in a book that you just can't shake. You can requote it, or like you said, Atomic Habits, blah, 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 or whatever. But there's plenty of books that you can't recite certain things in. There's certain things that really hit you because it's of interest to you, and acetylcholine is going around in your brain, and it retains that information, right? So in regards, long story, but I love money. So by default, I have to love numbers, and it really, because of sales, I was like, okay, I'm at $15,600 this week and I make 21%, and it was easy for me to be like, how much did I make this week? Running numbers at percentages plus my thing. And so I started getting really, really good with numbers. But so we were running a company called Central Business Funding in 2008, 2009 is when that was kicked up. And this was prior to everybody else doing business funding stuff. Now it's a dime a dozen. Everybody can do business loans. We get text messages, spams. Hey, you've been pre-qualified. It's like, come on, man. We were doing this before anybody else was doing non-traditional business funding stuff, right? Especially right after 2008, right there. People were needing money. And so, and banks, SBAs, you have to have 2 years of tax returns in order to get. So startups really didn't have a place in terms of business funding when it came down to your local bank or whatever, unless you had a good enough credit for a signature loan, but that's going to be very minimal, probably not enough to start your business, right? And so, what we would do is we would charge them $249 for what we call the risk assessment. Then we would pull a copy of their credit report, take a look at their situation, and be like, bro, you're going to the prom in your pajamas, bro. Like, you don't look good, dude. You're not dressed right for the occasion. You have bad credit. You don't have a business plan. We basically expose all of these things that they don't have and say, hey, for $2,500, we'll sell you what we call our LPP, our lender prep package. We'll work on your personal credit. We'll put together a business plan. You should take this idea as far as you possibly can before you ask somebody else for their money. Right now, you just have an idea on a napkin. Everybody has those, right? So we can't really present you to anybody to try to get funding or whatever. So we would sell them that package, we would dress it up, and then we would shop it around with some of the non-traditional people that we would work with, and then we would get a kickback on deals that would get funded, right? So we would charge them for the assessment, charge them for the prep, and then we would get a kickback on the funding, which was great for a period of time. But we started really building that, and we were getting some momentum. So you got to have accountants and CPAs and, you know, do all that fun stuff or whatever. It's boring and it's shitty, and you know, it's a necessary evil. Let's call it that. But we would go from one CPA to another, you know, and it was like, even one of my partners at the time was trying to get a construction loan. You have to have, you know, 2 years of tax returns, all updates on P&Ls on every entity that you have. It's just such a pain in the ass to get loans as a business owner. That's why I just pay for everything cash. It's like, I don't even want to go through that. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. If I don't have the cash for it, I don't want to play that game, you know? So, anyways, as we were jumping around from account to account, and it was just like, yo, this is not an individual problem. This is an industry problem. And the gap in the industry is good communication and on-time P&Ls, because it took them 3 months to get updated P&Ls. Why are we paying you monthly for bookkeeping, but we can't get communication and get P&Ls to make better business decisions? That's a problem, right? So, we were like, man, well, let's just hire an accountant to come work for us in-house so that we can actually get good communication. And like, they have to, they're right there. Like, give us our numbers, do our payroll, you know, do all that stuff. And that's what we did. And we're like, let's make this person available, offset the costs, and have them start doing this for other people.
That's so cool, dude. I've never heard this story.
And then
I didn't realize this how it all started.
And then from there, it was like, yo, let's kick up just a traditional accounting firm. Let's, you know, and then that's the path that we went down. And we were trying to solve our own need.
Up completely away from the business funding?
Yeah, well, that's now the credit repair company that's just across the street here.
Yeah.
So we did that we kept doing that, and then we started Easier Accounting in 2015. And from there, it turned into one of our biggest business, my biggest money maker. We were just trying to solve our own problem, but it was pretty easy to get on the phone with business owners and say, like, what is it? Are you not getting good communication, or you just don't get your P&Ls on time?
Because
it's like
all of it.
They knew. They're like, how did you know? And we would be like,
we've been through 15 CPAs going through the same thing.
That was our sales presentation. Is like, this is an accounting firm built by business owners for business owners, because business owners knows the pain point, and there's a disconnect between accounting and business owners. Accountants need the business owners needs accountant, but then there's just like a it's like, it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me that there's just this big disconnect. And so we ended up growing that and scaling that. And by like 6 years later, we did like $13 million in 2021. But we ran the business funding company until like 2018. The issue with that is all the big players started getting into the game, like the hedge fund money, private money, or whatever, and they would do hard money loans because they knew that people would accept them. And so they would go on to Google. We were getting leads on Google for $8-9 a lead in 2009. And then by the time towards the end, it was $120 a lead, because these big companies were bidding.
Changed.
Yeah. Everyone found out that there was money in business funding that the local banks didn't touch. You know, the higher the risk is good for hard money.
Is you guys had an impact on that entire market, just like I feel like JKR Windows has had.
Yeah.
And then Easier Accounting had an impact on that entire market. Like, you guys made waves.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see just the effort that you put in and your entrepreneurial spirit and how it impacts the rest of that entire industry.
Yeah.
And how it changed over those 10 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, man, is like, if you're struggling with something, somebody else is struggling with it too. You know, we're just like looking at each other. It's like, man, if we've now visited 4 different accountants or CPAs over the course of like 3 or 4 years and getting frustrated with each one of them, it's like we can't be the only ones, you know. And so it was pretty simple to get rapport on a phone call when we were first starting to do sales calls. We're like, because we're a business owner just like you, we had problems. We would share the story, you know, and they're like, oh yeah, finally, you know.
I was one of them. I worked with you guys a little bit too.
Yeah, so it was solving our own need that ended up turning into, you know, our biggest business. But by that time in 2018, when the leads started getting up there, the last 2 years we were running at pretty much break even. So that's why I stepped down from that company, running that company, and that's when I went over to Easier Accounting, because they said, yo, we need you over here. Like, we got to a certain point a couple years in, and we couldn't really break past a barrier. They're like, we need you on this side, in this company, instead of just having you operate a break-even business back there, you know. So the Coulter, that now owns 30% of the credit repair company, he worked for us for like 10 years. And I was like, he's naturally the next person. Like, he was my right-hand man. I trained him since day one. Like, if anybody's going to be able to do it, it'll be him. So he ran it for a couple of years, and we were just breaking even. And our thought process was like, all these people have worked for us for like 8 to 10 years, and they've been loyal through some of the ups and downs, commission structure changes when we make adjustments. Like, I made an adjustment halfway in because we started hitting some struggles, and I was like, okay, it's $2,500, and I'm on the phone with people, and some people want to do it, but they don't got the $2,500. So my mind started turning. I'm like, how do I get more yeses? I need more yeses, you know? And so I was like, okay. I was sitting there just, you know, doing my Rain Man thing, running numbers in my office one day, and I came up with an idea, and I said, well, what if we changed the entire business model to reoccurring? What if we just took down a $100 payment and we financed the other $2,400 in the form of $100 a month for 24 months? They can't say no to that. And then we'll build this residual to where when we have good weeks, when we make a bunch of money, the next week's a low week. The good week took care of the bad week or whatever. Yeah. And the idea is to put together a bunch of good weeks, right? But, you know, it could be scarce at times. And I was like, how do we create more consistency for us as owners, more consistency for the employees? And if I didn't make this shift probably in 2015 or so, we probably wouldn't even have survived the other 3 years to get to the point where those 2 years we broke even. And so I made this adjustment, and I went and pitched my partners on it. And I said, this is what I see us doing. And I said, I know for a fact that it'll work. And if it doesn't work, I'll take $50,000 out of my personal bank account, and I'll fund the business, and we can go back to the old business model. I mean, that was a selling point of confidence. You know, I didn't want to have to do it, but the account got down to like $5,000. And I went into one of my partner Jeremy's office, and I was like, bro, if I need to cut a check, that's fine. He's like, bro, I'm looking at the deposits that are supposed to be coming in. He's like, I think that we're going to be all right. And that was about where we bottomed out. And then at that point, the reoccurring just started. Awesome. And then that saved us. Awesome. That saved us for like an additional 3 or 4 years, that reoccuring business. Amazing. $100 a month or whatever. And so
it ultimately turned into this credit repair business, so huh?
Well, that's so I joined a mastermind, Ed Milet and Andy Frisella, the Arate Syndicate. We were paying $6,000 a month for that, going to Ed's house in Coeur d'Alene. We went to Whistler, Canada, and this is where this story came about. So we were doing some credit repair stuff to prep the files or whatever. And this guy came into our office and was like, yo, I got the best thing since sliced bread, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, right. You know, he's a little suspect. I didn't trust him. He's like, I can fix people's credit so fast. And I'm like, you're doing something shady, something illegal. You know, he's like, give me somebody that is a challenge. You know, so I go into our sales room at the $249. It's not a high commission job because it's only $249. So they are lower paid people making, you know, $600, $700, $800 a week selling those assessments or whatever. And I said, who in here has bad credit? One girl raised her hand. She's like, I got like 35 collections. I was like, yeah, you come with me. Meet me in the conference room.
About to change your life.
Yeah, I'm not about to throw this guy the biggest challenge he's ever had, and I'm going to show him that his shit don't work, you know. He's trying to sell us something bunk or whatever. Anyways, 90 days later, she was crying in the break room. She had a 730 credit score, and she says, I didn't think I would be able to provide a home for my family for like 10 years, and I just got pre-qualified for a home. And I was sitting there watching her in the break room, and just the raw emotion of it. It was like, bro, this is some real shit that can change people's lives, you know. And he wanted like $160,000 for it. I bought it for $80,000, the process. Then we go up to Whistler, Canada, one of these meetups with the Arate Syndicate. We're sitting at a dinner across from a guy named Ali Awad. He goes by the CEO Lawyer on Instagram. And he's like, so what are you guys into? Da, 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 da. So we start telling him, yeah, we do this business funding stuff. We just bought a credit repair process, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, really? He's like, I generate credit repair leads for a guy in Texas, and he just tried to screw me over. He's like, you guys want credit repair leads? I was like,
as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's the thing. We bought the process, and we were just going to kind of plug it in, but we also were thinking about maybe we just transition to credit repair, because we would charge people $2,500 if they didn't get funding. They're like, oh, I want a refund. I paid you for funding. Our compliance says we are not a bank, lender, da-da-da. We cannot guarantee funding. Our job is to prep you for a higher probability of success at funding, all of that stuff. So it was just, there was some issues there that I didn't really like having to deal with. And we had a warranty. We'll work with you till you get funded. One guy, I worked with him for 2 years, and he followed everything, and then he ended up getting funding. Most people are like, if I don't get my money in 60 days or whatever, the dream's dead and I'm going to move on to something else. That's the commitment thing that we were talking about earlier. It's like no obstacle. That guy, he didn't see obstacles. He saw opportunities to get better, to get to his ultimate goal. And so we fly back to St. George. He texts me and says, I've changed my mind. I want your process, and I'll bring my guy out there, and he'll show you everything on how to generate these credit repair leads, and we'll just swap proprietary information because I want to go do my own thing or whatever. And I was like, let me talk to my partners, whatever. They're like, yeah, dude, let's do it. Flew out. We created ads right there on the spot, uploaded them, and we switched the business model from business funding. So instead of business funding, what if somebody wants to buy a car or a house? So they just now want to be responsible and get good credit if they want a business. So now the pool of people that we have the opportunity to work with is even greater than just this singular niche of a business loan, And so we charge $1,800 to work with them in the form of $150 a month. We take $0 down. And we don't bill them a penny until day 14, because it's illegal to bill anybody in the credit repair world prior to services being rendered. There's a lot of credit repairs doing it illegal, but we gave an attorney 10% of the company, said, make us the most compliant, the best credit repair company that exists on the planet. And so that's what he did. He's like, well, technically you can't take money up front, and so we just enroll them with $0 down. The first payment of $150 comes out on day 14. That gives us 14 days to get everything prepped, get the letter sent out to where we send them a copy of the tracking ID saying your letters are out by day 7 to 10, so that now our job is complete on that, and then the bill hits on day 14. And so our whole pitch is like, most credit repair companies drag it on because they want to bill you that $100 a month or whatever forever. What's the point of them fixing quick so that they could lose a customer? Like, that's not, think about it as a customer. Like, they're going to milk you for as long as possible.
Such short-term thinking, though. Yeah. Instead of adding real value.
Yeah, exactly. So here's how we did it. We're like, instead of having bad credit for the next 2 years while you're paying, we have a 90-day warranty. We guarantee that your credit will jump up a minimum of 100 points within 90 days, and if it doesn't happen, we'll exit you of the contract, because you shouldn't be paying for something that you're not receiving value for. And so on day 90, we'll assess it. Your risk exposure is $450. Yes, they don't get a refund of the $450, but 80 to 90% of the time we'll hit our warranty. We're not going to do it 100% of the time.
Real value, man.
And so it's like,
feel good about that.
Yeah, that's really, so that business model's been better than the other business model, and we don't have to write business plans. So some of the fulfillment has actually gone down in cost, billing's gone up, and we're making more money than ever. So that's the transition from the business funding over to the credit repair business that we have now.
Great story.
Amazing.
So we got to talk about fitness now, because that was awesome. We could keep going on that too, but but I want to get into.
We can go wherever you want.
I want to get
brother.
into fitness stuff, bro, because this is the.
You want to get into the fitness stuff? Let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's talk about that journey.
I made a shit ton of money when I was 35 or so.
That means a lot. For those that don't know, that means a lot.
I was making 6 figures monthly, and to me that was pretty good at that point. That was everything that I had sacrificed 12 years of my life for, was like that. I want to make 7 figures, or whatever. And so here I was sitting with myself with more money than I had ever had before. Everything's going well, but I just was at an extremely low place, man. And that's just the truth of it. Money didn't fix all my problems like it was supposed to.
Were you out of shape, overweight at that point? I know in the past maybe you were, but
yeah, I had spouts of it. I was just like any Joe Schmo, where I would hit it hard for a minute and get in decent shape, take a photo of my abs, and next thing you know, 6 months later, I'm flabby again. You know what I mean? Like, here it is, almost springtime or summertime. There's me 10 years ago that's getting ready for summer 2 months before it. Or 3 months before it, and then by the time summer hits, they take off their shirt and they didn't accomplish the goal, and they're just like, good, another year, and then they get in this repetitive cycle that they're going to get their summer body right before summer, But anyways, here I was, making decent money, having the life that I thought I wanted, because when I grew up extremely poor, every problem that I saw was built around money. Our lights got shut off and we're lighting candles and all that because we can't pay the electric, we can't pay the bills. We didn't have food in the cabinets because we didn't have money. Everything that was a problem growing up all revolved around money. So I was like, if I can fix that one thing, then there is no problems. And so here I was, at this point I was now 36, kind of going through this, and you can call it a midlife crisis, because I think it's pretty normal in your mid-30s to late 30s where you're just like reevaluating your life.
I just started one.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm 47.
Congratulations. Never waste a good crisis, bro, because good shit comes from it. I'm being dead ass serious, bro. Never waste a good crisis. I think Warren Buffett said that, or somebody said
Charlie
that.
Munger.
Someone smart said that.
Yeah,
you're right. It was Charlie Munger,
okay,
his
partner, or whatever. Never waste a good crisis, meaning there's so many opportunities when there's a crisis happening, because you could go in any which direction, which is probably better than the situation that you're in. So any direction is better. So you have an abundance of opportunities and options, and so. It's like June, about a month. It was 39 days exactly before I turned 37, and I'm just sitting with myself and being like, I've challenged myself in business and it's worked, but I'm not really challenging me. Every decision that I've ever made has been built around money, and to be quite frank with you, I think that that's a very low frequency. If everything is built upon something outside of you that you're trying to go chase and catch, and don't get me wrong, money's a beautiful thing, but it should be, what type of impact can I make in other people's lives? How can I serve my the focus should be somewhere else, and then the money's a byproduct of just being a good human being, have integrity, doing the right thing, all of that stuff, But yeah. So here I am 39 days before I turned 37 at an extremely low spot. And I just was like, man, I need to throw myself a curveball. I need to do something completely different that's so far outside of my normal that I would just never, the old version of me would never do it.
Is that when you decided to run 37 miles?
That was it. I literally had that thought. I was at my office and I was like, well, if I don't go announce this right now while it's top of mind, I'm going to go to sleep tonight and wake up tomorrow and be like, well, that was a crazy thought, and then move on with my life.
That's so cool.
Right? And so I walked in.
I remember you showing up to the gym.
Yeah.
And making the announcement.
Yeah. I announced it right in my office. I walked into a room and I said, I'm running 37 miles on my 37th birthday. I heard a few chuckles. I was like, that's what I need right there. So I went home that night, that night, and I ran 3 miles and was like, "What the?" Was I thinking it was death, bro. I was like, "Dude, I'm gonna have to do this times 12." That's impossible, right? And so I was really questioning myself after that day one attempt.
But the first 3 hurt the worst anyway.
Yeah.
Does it still feel that way to you? The first few hurt the most?
The first 5 to 7.
Yeah.
Still
okay. Just wondering. So
that's
anybody that's
my legs are sore though. Every day.
I think it's important though for the journey though, because anybody going on this journey, they get the 3 miles like, dang man, I don't know if I can do it. It's like just keep going. Yeah, it'll get better.
The good on it's called a second win for a reason. You got to make it past the first one. Don't out just because it's starting to get uncomfortable. That's the point. That's why you went out to do it. And now all of a sudden, the thing that you went out to get, which is discomfort, so you could receive growth, is the thing that's actually making you question whether you should keep going. It's like, come on, bro. You know what I mean? Get with it, bro.
It's obviously something you've had to deal with.
Think logically in a state of turmoil.
Yeah.
You know, that's the difficult. Put the emotions to the side. What was the commitment? That's what we're going to do. And so I announced it, heard a few chuckles. Then I go to the gym. I'm going to do that. You know, I wanted everybody to know what I was going to do. I want that accountability out there, that personal accountability, because I'm the one that's holding myself accountable by telling everybody I'm going to look like a dipshit if I don't actually do it. And so I heard, you know, the homeboy chuckle kind of in the back corner, and that fucking bothered me. So I was going to get it done regardless. I ended up training 10 times because I couldn't go day after day after day. I was broke off after the 3. You know, I had to give it a couple days rest before I go attack again, you know. So I'd put a couple days in between and trained 10 times and went out and
then you sent it
at midnight. The second I turned 37, in the middle of nowhere, just started running. We were up in Burrell, past Enterprise, just open lanes, open roads, and it's in July, so I was like, it's a little cooler up there, and there's just long old highways that nobody will be on that I could just run all night under the stars, so it should be pretty. And so ran for like 9 hours and 30 minutes and literally kissed the ground when I got to mile 37. It was extremely, extremely brutal, but at the same time, it was doable. And I think that's what people need to understand. Like they're like, man, well, that's hard. It's like, okay, well, that's going to suck. Okay. Is it doable though? And if the answer is yes, then you need to do the doable.
How old are you now?
You know what I mean? Like 41.
So this is only
But you'll be 42
4
this
years
year.
I'll be 42 in July. So
really all this major, I'll call it major, it's a pretty major change has happened the last 4 years fitness-wise. You were a fit guy. You were a workout dude. But
yeah.
It's taken.
I gave myself credit for being a workout guy.
Sure.
I would do the 3 to 5 days a week. Wouldn't hit it on the weekends. You know, like that type of thing. You know, and I thought I was getting after it. Let's run some numbers. Since we started saying I was a numbers guy, if you're doing 5 days a week out of 7 days, bro. I mean, think about it. You're only succeeding like 70% of the time. Like, that's not true commitment. Giving 70% of what you have the ability to give. Your body works every single day and functions for you to be alive, but you can't peel off 30 to 60 minutes a day to honor it.
I'll tell you what,
you
though,
know?
dude, I was rough on my body early on in my teen and 20s and broke myself so many times on a motorcycle. Yeah. So I think watching you do this over the last couple of years with your 2-a-days and then your 10 miles, and now you're freaking 300-something days in, the most impressive part is that you haven't injured yourself and you can keep going. Because I just keep injuring myself.
But you're assuming that he hasn't injured himself, though.
I mean, I haven't injured myself to the point where I couldn't keep going. But dude, there was plenty of days there where my mind was like, dude, there's no way. There's no way you're getting it done today. Not with the way that you feel. Your legs are broke off. They're as stiff as boards. And every step that I took was just excruciating pain. And it was not until mile 7 or 8 that then it starts to loosen up and my legs break free again or whatever. And I'm like, holy, okay. So it's just the first half is going to just suck for a long period of time, you know. Literally, there was one time that I was running in Virgin, and I was just like, I said it out loud. I said, if you're going to fucking do it, just do it. And what I was doing is I was talking to my body because it felt like something was about to my tendons, my joints just felt so stiff and rock hard that every step was extremely painful. It felt like something was about to snap behind my leg and my hamstrings, behind my knees. And I was just like, if you're going to fucking do it, just snap. Like, give me a reason to quit. But I'm not going to quit just because it's hard. I won't quit. If I have a legitimate excuse of an injury, then that's different. And I was like praying for an injury because of the pain. At least there would be.
We're going to throw a disclaimer out here on the Solid Podcast. We're not suggesting, he's not a doctor. We're not physical doctor. I'm teasing.
Yeah. Call me Dr. Trevor. I don't,
Because we're going to have people out here trying this now, and they're going to be pulling all kinds of muscles and tendons.
No, they should.
Well,
I used to talk shit to people in the gym. I'm like, dude, you ever pulled anything? They're like, no. And I said, how do you know how much you can really do then? You ain't even trying until you pull something, my guy. Just kind of talking shit.
Sure.
But I think
just
that
having fun with it. You know,
I'm sure you've been there. Like I never really started running until last
every
year.
day.
Yeah.
I know that's what I'm saying. I never started running until last year, and then training for the marathon.
Yeah.
And then, you start getting 14, 15, 16, 17 miles on your body.
Oh, yeah.
And then you wake up the next day and you got to do it again because you committed to this end thing. And you're like, man, I just don't even know if my legs will do this.
Yeah, I just did. My gratitude and appreciation for the human body and the design has just dramatically increased. My appreciation, gratitude for everything has increased, because I'm living the adaptation process and watching how amazing the body is at adapting to whatever you put in front of it. Something's going to break, either you or your body's going to just say, he's going to do it again. We better figure this thing out because this looks like it's the norm.
So I got a couple of questions because it's powerful. Because you've gone from 2-a-days to 10 miles plus another workout, which is still 2-a-days. It's just increased running. To now a marathon a day, plus you're still lifting.
Half marathon, bro.
Sorry. Yeah, half marathon, plus you're still lifting.
Don't put me in that category. That makes me hurt thinking.
Oh,
I know, huh? Can you imagine?
That's a whole nother challenge.
It's
Yeah.
plus you're still lifting, which is impressive.
Yeah.
What would you say are the top things you've learned that this fitness journey has taught you that have helped you outside of your fitness journey? So whether it's your family, I know you're an incredible father, spending time, incredible husband, but in business too. So what would you say are the best lessons that this has taught you outside of even the fitness? Because it's obvious. You hear this, and anybody following you on social media, which if they're not, they should. It's clear the lessons that you're learning. I think you're pretty vocal about that. It's awesome to hear. But one of the things I am interested in is how have these things impacted the things that are technically unrelated that we know are still related?
Yeah, it's just it's standards, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I was even having a conversation with somebody at my office, and I said, well, that's not the standard. Then they're like, well, there's this situation. And I said, so if we deviate, then it's not considered a standard then. Because a standard doesn't deviate. It is what it is. It is the standard. So by default, if we deviate, then you don't have a standard, right? So I would say the standards in which I hold myself to have become extremely higher than what it used to be because I know what my capabilities are, and there's just no excuses to operate in a manner in which is less than. You should be a net positive for the world. I think that will give your life purpose and meaning and fulfillment outside of the money. But I would just say flat out, like, my tolerance for bullshit is very, very, very low, right? Because it's just like, I don't bring me excuses. Don't bring me, like, even if, like, I got people in my mastermind, they're like, well, like, it was this, and I did this on purpose last month. I was like, okay, every one of you make a commitment for 30 days. I don't give a page of the Bible every day. It could be walk 30 minutes. I said, I'm going to show you guys how important consistency is. Just please don't, because when people make commitments, they're like, a 10K, and I've even told them, I said, I would not recommend you guys doing anything remotely close to what I'm doing. I'm in a completely different financial situation. I would not be doing what I'm doing if I'm in the middle of a startup. If you guys are year 2 or 3, no. I just want to show you how important it is to show up in the same manner every single day, regardless of situations or circumstances. But I already knew that they would deviate. I already had the next month's call prepared to call them out and say, how many of you guys actually all 30 days honored it? And there was like one person. And I said, you're telling me you guys wonder why the you can't be successful in business because every time you guys make a commitment and something gets difficult, you deviate. You guys are living examples. If you can't even honor what you said for 30 days, how are you going to do the difficult thing that needs to be done in your business? It's just not going to happen. You guys gave yourself raw evidence right now over the last 30 days of why you guys are where you are. You can't commit and you don't have standards. And when something gets difficult or hard or it might suck, then you deviate. The question is it still possible? That's what I would ask myself every morning. I don't want to do this. is it possible? And I'm like, it is possible. Here's the thing. If you want an extreme result in life, you got to do extreme shit. Okay. Your mind plays tricks on you. You have to have a pocket full of tricks to play right back to it. Right. Like we already know how the brain works. Discomfort. Here comes the excuses. So what do you have in your pocket that you can use to battle these? Right. And you have to be mentally prepared for some of those battles. So like I do go to the extreme mentally, and I'm like, okay, you know JD, he had to go do the what's the blood
infusion, dialysis,
you know, for a couple hours on a machine. He had no choice, bro. There was no choice. It was life and death. I told myself that this is the prescription that I have every single day, and to me, if I don't do it, it's death. Right? Like if I'm laying in my bed in an extreme pain and it was like, man, I really don't want to do it, that's a good excuse, I'm going to go ahead and just take it easy today, then cool. That's what people normally do. I go, if you are prescribed, in order for you to live, you have to run a half marathon every day. When you woke up in pain or didn't feel like doing it, would that stop you from doing the thing? No. So it's still possible. It's just the priority level that you place on it isn't high enough. You don't care enough. You're not looking at this like life and death.
Or just to do what you said you were going to do.
But the reality is it is the death of your character. If you say you're going to do something, you don't do it.
Yeah.
Your reputation is toast.
And I've told people, I said, I would rather die than be humiliated by me saying that I was going to do something and I don't follow through, because my word means a lot to me. My word means everything to me. Like if somebody wants to say something about me on my deathbed or at my funeral or whatever, I don't want it to be about money or this, that, the other. It was like, when that guy said something, you could cash that fucking check.
Yeah, love that.
Trevor, did you ever smoke cigarettes?
No. Never was.
I
chewed a lot.
I smoked cigarettes. I also chewed. But it's like this extreme that you have to go to. So it's like life or death.
Yeah.
When I quit smoking cigarettes, I couldn't be around anybody. I didn't want to smell it. If you were smoking a cigarette, I'd smack that shit out of your hand. I just went from one extreme to the other.
Yep.
Well, I was smoking 2 packs a day.
Everybody's an addict. Right, we're all addicted to something. You've just learned to turn this addiction into something positive versus something that was ruining your life. This is something helping your life. It's not now just helping your life, it's helping other people, because how many people you're inspiring to change their negative addictions, which might be food, it might be drugs, it might be laziness,
the biggest
all
addictions right now are social media and pornography, bro. Like that is the downfall of the Western world, bro. Like without a doubt. Like people don't have impulse control. You know what I mean? Like I wrote about this in my book. Your impulses, and if you don't have control over it, that is what's caused the most chaos in the world. If somebody's inflamed and they're upset, when a murder happens, it's impulse. I'm upset. Boom. I'm going to kill that person. A fight happens between you and a spouse. It's all just impulsive. It just comes out, right? Food, it's impulsive. Pornography, it's all of these things that are a detriment to our long-term lifestyle and our quality of life. Feel good in the moment, right? And you get that unearned dopamine. But if you get unearned dopamine, you have to pay for that somehow, some way later.
The pain's
right?
coming.
The pain is coming, right? And you pay for it with low self-worth, low confidence, low, all of these things. And you have to live that quality of life because you're not earning your dopamine. You're going to a very low frequency place where it's free just to get your hit, and then you're going to pay the price, that you got to pay.
So, what I love about what you're doing right now is there's always levels, right? And you set a level, in my opinion. I mean, first you started with the 2 workouts a day. I don't know if that was 72 hard type thing or 75 hard.
Well, it was the 37 miles that I did, bro. That felt so good that I told everybody about it for like 3, 4, 5 months.
Said, then I'm going to do it on my 38th birthday, and then I'm going to do it on my 39th birthday.
Yeah, but here was the problem, bro. Here was the problem. I was living off of an old win for months. I would tell people about it, be like, "You did what? No way!" And I'm like, "Yeah." You know what I mean? So I was getting dopamine hits off of. Again, I was unearned dopamine. Like I'm talking about something that I did do, not what I am doing. That's a whole different story. And so by the time it was November, my birthday's in July, here I am back to a low place again. That worked.
And as you're talking about this, I mean, this is what I want people to understand. Like, this level of commitment. Because people will say, Brandon, you run a lot. Well, depends who you compare. I run maybe 40 miles a week, maybe 50 on a big week. You're running about 100. That's another level.
Yeah, it's like 390 miles a month.
And your pace isn't like slow. I mean, I know it's not. I mean, it's a decent pace. You're 9-minute miles probably most days ish. That's good.
Some
for
days you're getting the steps slow because
yeah.
it's short.
But for every day,
it just looks slow.
Here's what we got to understand.
Dude, it's more running too when you got a shorter, right? It is.
I'm like, how the hell did I take 40,000 steps? And my partner over here that's 6 foot took 25,000 steps.
It's true. I ran with him once.
We both ran 13.2 miles, but
hey,
I took twice as many steps.
Don't let it fool you, though. This dude moves, dude. He moves. But no, here's the deal. People got to understand this. So to set this world record,
when you're as skinny as you two are, it ain't that. No, I'm just playing.
I had to drop 17 pounds to get here.
You have been dropping weight, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I wanted to build a body that was in alignment with the outcome I wanted.
Is that and sorry to stop you, but I have had this question. Is that designed for speed, or do you have a desire to increase speed?
I'm not worried about speed as much. Yeah, that was part of it because obviously it's taking a lot of time out of my day every day.
Yeah.
So if I can save 10, 15, 20 minutes,
it adds up.
That definitely adds up. So that was part of it, but it was mainly like, let's take as much weight off of my joints and my knees and my body as much as I can, because carrying 17 pounds less every day over 13 miles
is a lot.
It adds up.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah.
Sorry.
So first of all, I'm guessing you could probably do a half mile in like 6-minute miles. Probably, I bet you could. Running with you, I would guess. Maybe not. That's fast.
Do a 6-minute mile.
6-minute mile for 13.1.
On Sunday.
I mean, that's freaking fast.
On Sunday, I finished the last 3 miles because my witness had to go to church by 9, and I was looking at it. I'm like, bro, get in the Can-Am. I'll see you at my house in 3 miles, and I did it in like 20 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So it was an average of like 6:55.
There you go. Yeah.
It was like 6:55 for 3 miles.
Dude, running 1 mile at 6:55 is tough.
Yeah, but you got to wear 2 cameras.
Yep.
You got to have 2 witnesses every day. So this isn't just running 13.1 miles.
That's
probably the easy part.
That is the easy part.
And that's what people got to understand. Whether you're traveling home,
I can't really travel unless I have people coming with me.
And if you miss a day, you got to start over. You can't do it on a treadmill. Like you gotta That's
the thing. That's what excites me the most about it all. And back to your question, like what has changed? I'm like, every fucking day matters, bro. In my past, every day didn't matter. I could let a day skid or whatever, and my bank account still looked the same. Every fucking day matters. If I miss one fucking day, I go back to 0. You can't see that on your guys' scoreboard because you're not doing what I'm doing, but there is a scoreboard, right? You just don't see it as clearly as I do. I have a map that says if I do X for X amount of days, I receive X result. And so that's just by default what I'm going to do. But if I miss a day, it goes back to 0. All of it was for nothing. Every day fucking matters. So to me, I wake up with an extreme level of intention. I'm like, hey, it's go time. It's now time to perform. It's time to lay down that day. And then when I'm done with that, it's like, okay, let's go into my day and be intentional there. Everything is intentional because I have to live like that in order to exercise for 3 hours a day, run businesses, have children that have football games and baseball games and soccer games and tournaments, and there's deaths, there's weddings, there's all sorts of it's just life.
And I think it is cool you talk about this is a season where you're able to do that because you have had success, right? It may not be the timing for someone to do that type of a commitment, but you can still
commit to something.
Commit to something and be and do well in all areas of your life.
There's no doubt. I mean, dude, this whole thing came off of the back of 75 Hard, bro. So it was that November that I was at a low spot, and I was like, man, I really just need to fucking stop playing around and setting these little teeny goals that I can get to in 30 days or 60 days. Or why do you think these 30-day challenges, 60-day challenges are so hot? Because people can see the end at the beginning, and they know that they can be disciplined for a temporary period of time. But then you tell them to live that lifestyle every day, it's just too overwhelming. They can't wrap their comprehension around it because of who they are. They haven't put in the work. But if you're doing something consistently, whether it's 30 minutes each day, your belief grows, and then you're like, man, what else can I do? How do I turn it up a notch? Because you're starting to feel so good about yourself. You're seeing progress, and then that progress becomes infectious, and then you want to push for more progress, and then the momentum just starts happening. And so I was like, man, I'm going to start the year with 75 hard. I felt really good when I was living with more intention. Right? When like my
purpose, every day you wake up.
Every day I woke up, it's like the first thing is like, okay, what can I really start? What can I cross off the list? You have no choice because there's only so much time. It forces you to live with intention.
There's no weekends, no holidays.
Yeah, so
every day's purpose.
And I sat there and asked myself when I was at this low spot again, I was like, when do I feel best in my body and mind? It's like when I'm moving, when I'm really challenging myself and I have to fight for something. Like I need a mountain. I need something to climb. And I was like, 75 hard forced me to live with intention. I felt really good when I was hydrating. I was moving my body twice a day, all this stuff. I'm going to start January 1st. I'm going to do 75 hard, but I'm going to do it for like 100 days. That's how it all started. And as
That's 2 a days, huh?
Yeah, and so I was talking to people, like 50 days, 60 days in. Man, 75 hard, that was the best I ever felt. And I'm sitting there looking at them like, and when they stop talking, you still doing it? They're like, oh, nah, man. And I'm like, dude, you found the fucking thing that made you feel the best that you ever have, but because it's difficult and it's hard and it might suck and it takes living with intention, you stop doing the thing that made you feel best. So you had the ticket, but you decided that you're not willing to continue to make that exchange. It's only temporary. People do 75 hard when they hit a low and they get out of that low and then they stop doing all the things that they were doing to get themselves out of the low, and then they live this yo-yo life, right?
In everything they do.
In everything that they do.
Not just fitness. They do it in business,
everything.
Sales,
everything.
Family. Yeah.
Everything. It's just a level of complacency because I'm not back at that low, so I'm going to give myself credit. I'm good. I come back off. And then you'll find the valleys again. You know what I mean? And so I was like, I'll do it for 100 days. And I was just talking to people, and they kept saying that was the best I ever felt. But they just don't do it. And I'm like, to me, it didn't make sense. So I'm sitting here looking at them, but my journey of 100 days is going to run out soon. And I was just like, I can't do that, dude. I'm watching all these people, my perspective, listening to them saying that it was the best I ever felt. And I was starting to feel really good. And I was like, man, I can't let this go. I can't go back to where I was, dude. I was at a dark place. Yeah, here's the thing is when you're on the path to start making money, you at least have hope when you make money that all your problems are going to be solved. So at least you're living with a hope. What happens when you actually have the thing and it doesn't give that thing that you wanted it to give you? Now the hope is even gone. So now you don't even have hope. Now you're like, now what? What's the point of life? What should I be doing? Like, what's the deal? You're just lost, you're confused, and now it's like almost like you have to remap out like what life looks like because this way of doing it's not serving you, because I felt that feeling. That depression was just my body and brain saying.
How valuable of a perspective because there's a lot of people out there. This is common these days. People are constantly in depression and they're trying to figure out what's next and they're questioning life, and suicide is crazy these days.
Oh yeah.
But we've all been there. It's like there's these dark moments.
Dude.
And you've constantly got to go back to the drawing board and go back and reflect.
Yeah, there's no
on
doubt.
what was working. And why am I not doing that anymore? If it was working, why am I not doing it anymore?
Yeah. My guess is if you were at a good spot and you're at a low spot, you reflect back when you were in a good spot, you might have been journaling. You might have been hydrating better. You might have been eating better. You might have been going to the gym. Like there's certain things. But then when you're at a low spot, you're like, man, why do I feel like a low spot? Whatever. Move on with life. Wake up to another low the next day and just stay in your rut or whatever. So I decided at day 100, I'm going to do this 2-a-day thing. I'm not going to take the picture and I'm not going to stick to a diet because I'm gonna do my 2 workouts. I'm gonna hydrate and I'm gonna read. That was kind of like I'm gonna do that for a full year. At the end of that year, I was like, you know what, dude, this is too fucking good. And then I heard Andy Frisella. He says, "Show me your last 1,000 days, and I'll show you why you are where you are." So then that was like, you know what? I bet the motherfucker that even said that hasn't even done that. And I said, Michael Jordan perfected basketball, but he didn't invent it. He was better than the inventor of basketball at the thing that guy invented. He might have said it, but I'm going to actually live it. That's the difference. I'm going to perfect what he said, right? I'm going to live that example, and I guarantee he hadn't done that. So, but yeah, he lived at a, intentional life for 1,000 days, just not in this manner. So I was like, I'm going to do 1,000.
In the 75 hard perspective as he was talking about.
Yeah. So I was like, what is something that I know nobody has ever done? You know what I mean? Like I need to give myself undeniable proof.
So how did this go real quick? How did it go from accomplishing this 1,000-day challenge to doing something nobody has ever done? What was that like? Why?
Well, I was a couple years into doing the 2-a-days, so I said I'm going to do it for 1,000.
Yeah, are you getting paid for this or sponsored?
No, I don't get paid.
He is getting but you are getting paid for it. You are. This is a mistake. Because everybody thinks the currency is monetary. It's not.
It's confidence.
You definitely are getting paid for it.
It's
talk about some momentum.
Quality of life, bro. I can run through that window right now, dude, and land on my feet and say, "Woohoo! Let's go. Let's hit. There's a trail over there by the river. Let's go smash it." Like I just want to live, bro, in my body. I want to live in my being, and I want to push it to the furthest capacity that it has the ability to be pushed. I want to extract as much potential from this little teeny frame that I'm forced to live in as I possibly can. That gives my life meaning. That gives my purpose. My curiosity is piqued because I've continued to do things that the old version of me didn't even think was possible. So then I'm like, what else do I think is impossible that's not impossible? That's just a self-governing limitation that I'm placing on myself just so that I don't have to go do that hard thing or deal with that suck. I'm just not committed enough. That's really the truth of it. And it's just hard. That's a tough pill to swallow. So I just got to the point is like, I don't care the pain. I don't care. I don't care the amount of discomfort. If I want something, I'm going to get it. Like that's just, I have this knowing that I'm willing to bear more than most. That's what this has showed me. And that gives you a high level of confidence. I can operate. Like most people want peace, so they look for a bunch of money. Man, I'm going to get peace. Peace is knowing that you can operate in discomfort or comfort. There's no situation that you can't operate in, and when you have the undeniable evidence that you can operate in the most extreme, uncomfortable situations and still do what you said that you were going to do, you have this deep sense of peace that no matter what happens out there, you have this deep knowing that discomfort, comfort, don't matter. Whatever it is that I said I'm going to do it anyways, right? And that's true peace. Is
the warrior in the garden.
Regardless of the situation, you're okay.
And you developed this mindset. You weren't born with this mindset. You developed it.
Bro, we already talked about shooting needles. Like that wasn't me, bro. Like at all. It without a doubt has been built and it has been developed, and so.
So there's hope for anybody out there.
There, without a doubt. I just I have a very difficult time believing that they will want it bad enough to endure the pain that they would have to endure if they're trying to talk about doing anything close to what I'm doing.
You know what's interesting, though, is he says he's not smart. I heard you say it at least twice, that you're not smart. But listen how fluent you are. Because I know where you come from. We went to school together. I've known you since you were
dumb like a fox.
You've always been
Same height.
You've always been short. I peaked out in 6th grade, bro. Everyone else started spurting. I was like, "What's up? Where's my turn?"
It didn't happen just by osmosis. I was talking to my son about this morning. I said, "Have you made some time for personal development this week?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm working." And I went off on this tangent. He's like, "Dad, that's not actually what I meant, but yeah, thanks for the advice." Because most people are not intentional. They're not taking the time. They're not separating the things that you have to do versus the things that are going to help you get better.
Yeah.
And you have spent the last number of years just getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not be smart when it comes to like school. I don't know. I didn't do that well in school either.
Yeah.
But, dude, you're pretty effing smart. You're very fluent in the things of life and success, brother.
No doubt about it.
Yep.
Don't stop there. Keep it going, bro. You're about to inflate my ego, and I really like the feeling. It's awesome. What else is great about
me? I enjoy
me?
being around people that are fluent in business and inspirational. It's been great having you on, brother.
I appreciate that.
Well, you've learned by doing, and that's wisdom, right?
Yeah.
And you have wisdom, and we appreciate you and all you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
The world's a better place because of you.
Thank you.
And you continue to make it a better place. You're an inspiration to us. We're glad to call you a friend, and
likewise,
we appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
It's a bunch of millionaires chilling, having that millionaire talk, bro. I was like, dude, finally, I thought I had to send over a bank statement or something just to get invited over to the millionaire club over here in this little millionaire pod. That's what
you may not hear it, but we're cheering you on constantly, bro. You're constantly topic of conversation. Proud of what you're doing, man. And that's not just fluff. When you're not around, we're constantly.
I think that what I'm doing right now is just foundation for something bigger, bro.
It is.
This is
that's
my
the beginning
training ground, bro. Just like the 2-a-days for the few years. That was just I didn't know it. but that was a training ground for something else. And now it's just like, I see a pattern here. There's
Well, and
something
again,
else on the other side of this.
Just the kind of man you are, the husband you are, the father you are, and I think those are things that the world needs more of, is great examples there. And we're all about that here on the Solid Podcast, just living an all-around solid life. And I can't think of many people that are doing it better than you right now, man.
Thank you.
So great job.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all.
So, hey, thanks so much for joining us today. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share this with anyone who you feel could benefit from this. This has obviously been an incredible episode.
I want to say share this with everybody. I want you to go on and just start sharing with anybody you've ever sent something to. Share this with them. You never know who it's going to hit, because somebody might be in a down spot right now, and they're not telling you they're in a down spot, but they need to make a decision. They need to make a commitment, and this is the guy that they need to listen to. It could change everything for somebody because you decided to go on the internet and click a button. You could change somebody's life. So I challenge you to go do that.
Amen. Thank you, Jeff. Till next time, stay solid all. See ya.